I miss the magic of Destiny 1. I've been playing Destiny since July 23rd, 2014, and I didn't really stop until June 4th, 2024 with the final shape. And there's one moment I'll never forget. That first cinematic intro. Flying through space, landing on Mars, hearing their music for the first time, following those 3 astronauts as they discover something impossible. And then the music peaks, and we see it. The Traveler. That moment is just engraved in my brain forever. I remember the first time I landed in the Cosmodrome. Everything felt quiet, abandoned, and then out of nowhere, another Guardian sped past me on a Sparrow. They just rode past, killed some enemies, and then quietly disappeared. And I just stood there watching it happen. And somehow that moment changed everything for me. Because for the first time, a game didn't feel like it was built for me. It felt like I had just stepped into it. Into this living world, almost. When Destiny launched in 2014, it wasn't just another shooter. It was Bungie's next big thing after Halo. A game that promised something we hadn't really seen before. A shared world shooter. Not quite an MMO, not quite a single player game. Something in between. And the idea was simple. You'd exist in a world that other players were into, but without the noise, the lobbies, or the chaos of traditional multiplayer. At least that was the promise. Because if we're being honest, Destiny didn't exactly launch in a perfect state. The story was vague and hard to follow, the characters barely explained, and half the lore lived outside of the game entirely. It was repetitive, confusing, and sometimes frustrating. And yet, people couldn't stop playing it. I couldn't stop playing it. Because the magic of Destiny was never really in the story. It was in the moments. You'd be on a patrol doing your own thing, and suddenly other players would just appear. No matchmaking, no introduction, just people existing in the same place as you. Fighting the same enemies, helping without being asked, leaving without a word. It was multiplayer without the pressure, and somehow that made it feel more real. There's no other way to say it. Destiny just felt good. Every weapon had weight, every shot had impact. Even when you were doing the same activity for the 10th time, it didn't feel like a chore. It felt like playing, and it felt like fun. Back then, we didn't have everything figured out. We didn't know what the Traveler was, where the story was going, what secrets were still hidden, and weirdly, that made the world feel a lot bigger. Because instead of being told everything, we had to wonder. And then there was the first raid. Vault of Glass. No instructions, no clear objective, just 6 players trying to figure it out. It wasn't just difficult, it was mysterious. Every encounter was a puzzle that no one had yet solved. And when you finally understood it, it felt like you earned something more than loot. Because loot in Destiny wasn't just about stats, it was about the stories. Everyone remembers the weapons they got. Their first exotic, and Galahorn. A weapon that became less of an item and more of a legend. You know, I still remember getting mine. It was July 1st, 2015. It was late, probably around 2 AM, and I was playing with these American guys who would basically carry me through a nightfall when it dropped, and I couldn't believe it. I only got to experience Prime Galahorn for about 2 months, but those 2 months, I felt like a god. You know, I have a lot of memories with this game. I met some of my best friends playing it, random Vault of Glass runs on Saturdays with strangers that somehow became real friends. TGLT gamers, now called Salty, Jiggle Midget, you know, people I never would have met otherwise. I remember convincing my girlfriend at the time to get an Xbox instead of a PlayStation just so that we could raid together. I remember getting my first exotic, it was the Last Word. It was during a random summoning pit strike. or getting the bad juju bounty out of nowhere. And the thing is, Destiny came out right as I just finished school. I had no responsibilities. I could just sink hours and hours into this game. And that's exactly what I did. And I think that's why it holds such a special place in my heart. Because at that time in my life, I was going through a lot. And without even realising it, this game and the people I met in it, they helped me escape that. The strange thing about Destiny's magic is that it's incredibly hard to recreate. Not because the game can't be better, but because the context is gone. Today players optimize everything. Secrets get data mined instantly, and the mystery disappears faster than it can form. Back then, we didn't know what we were doing, and that was the point. I think that's what made it special. It's easy to look back at Destiny 1 and see its flaws, and there are a lot of them. But that's not what people remember. They remember the feeling of stepping into something unknown, sharing that space with strangers, and slowly figuring it out together. Maybe the magic wasn't just in the game. Maybe it was the moment we played it. And maybe that's the part we can't get back.